Welcome to Muddy River News this week. I'm Bob Goff. My guest is County Board Chairman Bret Austin. Welcome.
Thanks, Bob.
Always a great time of the year. It's budget time.
Budget time. Yes.
Now you were the finance chair for a long time. Now you're the chairman, so you kind of, now that Travis Cooley really runs the show as finance chair. But did you leave him at a great time? Because it looks like you got a little deficit going on here.
Yeah. No, that's not planned. That's just the natural order of things. Sure. But no, Travis is doing a great job, and so is the whole finance committee. I mean, that's probably my primary goal over this next year is put it into sports terms. We need to develop that bench, have that backup and make sure that a lot of people understand the different roles that they need to commit to on a board. So we're working on that, and Travis is right at the top. He's really taken it on his own, and he's done a good job with it.
He's a numbers guy, works for Liberty Bank,
Yep.
and so yeah, I mean he was a natural fit to succeed you, and like you said, this is basically your next to last budget that you have to mess with.
It is, yeah.
So,
yeah.
let's talk a little bit about that. How do you make up for this shortfall as a county?
So there's a little bit of misnumber in it, and I'm not trying to be coy or cute with it.
I know there's governmental accounting and all that stuff. I totally get that.
Yeah. So there's actually two things that are really the bulk of the under revenue, if you want to call it that, and that's that we're accounting for about $5 million still in the HVAC.
Yeah.
That'll be spent, and we won't get any revenue against that. So that's in the bank being spent. And then about $1.5 million left of ARPA. So if you could isolate those and take those two out of the budget, it actually is probably within about 3 or 4% of being a balanced budget.
And I know that the board and you and the finance committee are going to the office holders to try to say, hey, let's make sure we can watch our P's and Q's here. But you do have you kind of have built-in 4% salary increases on average, correct?
Yeah, and maybe even more in some cases because of contractual arrangements with unions. I mean, we have 16 different union contracts that we negotiate. Some of those have had some step raises to keep up with what everyone has seen is a pretty rapid rise, cost of living adjustments in the last couple of years with inflation. So, those are commitments we have to honor, and we need to honor in order to keep good staff and keep recruiting, keep retaining good people to work at the county.
One of the other things, that you deal with the courts. They are their own animal, but then they still come under your jurisdiction. But really, the state pays for the bulk of the court system, correct?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, there's some clerical positions that are picked up at the county level, but when you talk about clerks and public defender and the court system itself, there's a lot of reimbursements there, also including probation department and juvenile detention center and things like that. So we do get quite a bit of reimbursement from the state, which helps. Of course, you could make the argument that's just our money coming back to us. So, but we do the best job we can to get that back. So.
Yeah, no question about it. Because when people see that the state's attorney and the public defender make salaries that are close to $200,000, the sheriff has gotten an increase, so they're well over $150,000. But again, those are pretty much state mandated positions.
Yeah, state
mandated.
And
their salaries are state mandated.
State mandated salary. The cost of living adjustment is state mandated. Say what you will about those, but at least they're done on a state averaging, which is a pretty good data set. And then we get reimbursed between 66% on the sheriff, 80 I think for public defender, and 90% for the state's attorney. And
even though we are downstate and people want to, we always, down here, a lot of folks aren't real happy or popular with friends. They don't like Chicago for whatever reason.
Sure.
But we are still the 24th highest, most populated, largest county in the state.
Yeah. 24th.
So we are still going to pay more money than almost 100 other counties in a lot of instances.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Sure. I mean, there's 102 counties in Illinois, and we're 24th largest population, so we're right at the 25th percentile. So when you look at salaries, we need to be competitive in that range, which we at least are above the median on almost everything. So that comes into play, and whether people want to admit this or see it or whatever, the county in some respects operates just like a lot of other businesses when it comes to employees for recruitment and retention, certainly, even though the operations are a bit different.
Well, yeah, and it's like anything else, whether it's the ambulance service or anything. You are, guys can look at, and okay, they live here or whatever, but if they can go to a neighboring county and make more, a lot of times they're going to. And again, we had a situation where I believe there was one, was the paramedics or
ambulance, paramedics and EMTs.
Less than Pike County, was
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had to do an increase there to keep that. And again, you would think otherwise with Pike County being Pike County and with Adams being Adams and just the popularity disparity, you would think that wouldn't be the case.
Yeah, I really think that there was a miss there over the years where those cost of living adjustments weren't probably kept up the way they should have been. And we have better data now, and we use a thing called the UCCI, which is about 47 counties. And they're all counties like ours. They're not Chicago, because those could really skew the numbers. So we've got numbers like that we see some averaging median salaries and things like that. So we try to pay attention to the data and work within the confines of that, plus the money that we really do have or don't have locally.
And we talk about having to work with the state now, working with the city. And again, Quincy is part of Adams County.
Still is.
Still
yes.
is. Nothing's going to change there.
Yeah.
Adams County is not going to go to Missouri. We're here. You're also working with the city on some issues, and you have a committee now that you're working with Mayor Moore to try to work on some. What's the word I'm looking for? Trying to work on some things where you can share
overlap
and things
of
like that.
Yeah, I'd say overlap of infrastructure is certainly one of the easiest ones to define because it's a physical thing. It's like, hey, we got a county road runs inside the city limits, things like that. But then also some governmental efficiencies. There's been times where I feel like, and I think that previous mayors have felt, Mayor Moore, Kyle Moore felt this way, Mayor Trope felt this way. Too, it's certainly not a new idea, but just that we could work together more efficiently on things like what are different roles that these different organizations play. We have an overlap in 911 organization. That's going to be something that we're taking a look at here in the near future. You can see how we came together with the city and the county being housed in one sort of correctional and law enforcement facility, and that was, quite a bit of savings. I think it was $4 million or so that the city put into that development, as opposed to a $11 million standalone building that they were thinking about. And there's been some bumps with that too. You got to work those things out, but generally, I think it's been well received, and we have a good facility and those types of things. The city and the county, if you look real close, and faded on the stone behind Adams County Courthouse, it actually says city and county together on it. So it was in the 1950s when it was built. It was that facility.
Oh, when I came, got out of college and came here, my first job at KHQA, it was the city county building, and I would go to Mayor Hagstrom's office every Monday morning. He would have reporters in and would talk about things that were going to happen in city council that night and do that. And then, back then the county boardroom was way different. It was a really large configuration, and of course back then was the 28 members, and it was just, I remember I had to cover my first county board meeting. I walk in, I was just like, what are we doing here? And just all these guys everywhere. And again, back then it was a lot of older fellas, and of course I was a lot younger back then, so those guys were probably my age now, but they were argue back and forth on things like that, and it was just but again, it was all in that same place. It was the government center of the universe, and then of our universe. And then when the city moved to City Hall, that's when the county did a big renovation. And then we had this recent renovation, for the most part, with the exterior and needed with the HVAC. So again, coming back together in that regard with law enforcement. And again, there's other things you can look at. I mean, with the whole EMT, EMT and paramedics with the fire department. I mean, that's been discussed off and on for years. Discussions with Wright Township, all this stuff's been talked about before. And again, it's just trying to, if you were to have boots on the ground, so to speak, to kind of facilitate that, where there's more consistent conversations. Is that what you're hoping to get out of this committee, so to speak?
Yeah, I think that so oftentimes ideas get sort of punted before they even get started. I think that's just indicative of the social media world that we live in. People form an opinion on very little information sometimes. That is frustrating because there's a bigger picture out there in a lot of ways. Sometimes I think if we just could discuss those ideas back and forth and have maybe a more united presentation of the idea. Not trying to say that any false information or trying to keep anything from anybody, just that it's a little more gelled up before it becomes public, because there are some things that you really need to talk about and say, does this even make sense? Should we go down this road? So I think that's one of the things that is going to happen with that committee, is just kind of being an initial vetting point for, yeah, this doesn't make a lot of sense. This got thrown out there, but doesn't really move the ball down the field at all. Or on the flip side, this is, why haven't we thought of this? What could we do to make this happen as soon as possible? So hopefully that's the goal. Like I said, when we did our joint press conference, I applaud Mayor Linda Moore for her efforts in this. I think she's a good communicator. She's reached out on a lot of different things. I'm definitely receptive to that, and ultimately, our goal is just to do what's best for the constituents of Adams County plus City of Quincy, which all City of Quincy people are Adams County constituents. Yeah. I seem to have to remind people of that quite often, but yeah, it's a good goal to have. We'll see how it plays out. We got some great people on the committee, and I hope that they can invest some time in it and think about it. And I think those roles will revolve way past me being gone. I think different members will come on and go off, and sure. And that'll keep it fresh too.
So budget next month, and then levy the month after that, which is always the bass-ackwards way that it's done, unfortunately.
Yeah. Suspending meetings, going back in time, as the venerable John Hybrader once said to me, if you buy the budget, you buy the levy. Yeah. So, because it's just a math formula after that. Ultimately, I think the county tax rate will go down a little bit, but I always caution even saying that, because that's not what it's about to the how it feels at the end. Because if your property values go up, your taxes are going to go up with it. But I think generally we're doing a pretty good job of keeping that level as minimum as possible. We look like we're going to have another pretty record growth year in terms of the assessed value of properties, which can cut both ways. It's nice that values are going up, but if it's too much and too soon, then it can actually feel really inflationary to people who are trying to move or relocate or find a house. So there's a balance in there to be struck as well.
You mean the new supervisor assessments couldn't fix that?
No.
It's a formula.
It's a formula.
It's not the person, it's a formula.
It's a formula. But speaking of which, she's played a major part in this budget, because there is...
Lisa Gasco.
Yeah, Lisa Gasco, supervisor assessment. She plays a major part in this budget discussion too, because it's that evaluation, that averaging through properties that really kind of sets the tone for all of the taxing bodies, not just the county, about where you're going to be at in terms of... I always say that if you can live within those means of the properties appreciating, then you're probably doing a pretty good job on the budget numbers. But that also means if you buy into that theory when we have negative EAV, which we haven't had in probably a decade, but we have had it.
Can't remember last time.
That also means you need to be willing to cut that budget when that comes too, because sure. that's what the end constituent feels in their pocketbook.
Sure. Oh, no doubt about it. So, well, all right, happy budgeting, and I'll be at your meeting, so good luck, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, appreciate the time.
That's all the time we have for now. I'm Bob Goff. See you next week.